Noah's in
And
there
we're
too.
back.
Noah's our new host tonight.
I
What's
guess.
up, Noah?
Hello, Noah.
Noah, if you would like, if you don't want to be on camera, where it says desk cam there under sources, you can just, there, hit the little eye button, the little visible button, and you'll go away. And there's Chase.
Ooh.
We're
So
here.
I'm in the middle.
That's funny.
I kind of like this view.
Welcome to
Yeah.
the main events.
Jimmy, we got a
What's up?
TV since the last time you were on.
Yeah, I know. I
you
saw that. It's cool.
yeah.
Like,
Came
hey.
in for the hamburger thing, but
I did. We
Yeah.
kind of crashed that last minute. That was
Yeah.
kind of fun.
yeah, it was
That
fun. I like that.
That was a lot
Dive
of fun.
in.
It's been a while, man.
It has.
Too long.
It has. Just life on the road.
Jimmy
Living
Jam,
the dream.
world traveler.
Yep. America had no idea it was coming.
I do like to always hear about your travel escapades.
You know what's interesting when you are a business traveler, folks who aren't business travelers, they hear you going all these places, but in their mind it's vacation.
Right,
But I will tell you, every airport, conference room, and hotel looks the same.
right.
And honestly, America at large looks the same. There's still some pockets where there's some cool things that are still unique, but retail is just so prominent that everywhere is pretty much just, the same.
My dad
What
used
was
to
that?
travel a lot when he was working for Buck Stove. He used to go up. He had a couple distributors in like West Virginia, and he said there was this one town. He said he went to several times, stayed in it because there was a distributor located there. And he's like, look, I'm not trying to be like judgmental or whatever, but he's like, everybody in this town was just looked like they got beat with an ugly stick. he's like, I didn't see one attractive person the entire time I was there, like either time. And come to find out, I think somehow he got to talking to one of the people and somehow, in some way, brought it up. And I guess it was like it must have been, no offense to people from Eastern Europe, but it must have been a place that was largely settled by like Polish and like Eastern European people. And they all just really kind of had the same look, you know what I mean? And might not have been the most attractive.
So what you're
people in
saying
the
is all white people look like.
yeah, exactly. Generic white. Yeah.
Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Welcome. It's been a minute since we've been back. Before we get started, though, we want to have a word from our sponsors.
Josh,
Chase,
before we continue this podcast, I've got this package I absolutely have to get out
right now,
immediately.
this second,
It's critically important.
you've got to go to Big Al's Pack and Ship.
Duh. How could I have forgotten? Our very first sponsor.
Yeah, and they'll ship it out any way you want, FedEx, DHL, or UPS.
And somebody told me Big Al's also has mailbox. Now, is that true?
They do. We should totally get one so we can be showered with gifts by our adoring fans.
100%. And they'll shred all of your important documents for you.
Thank God, so we can get rid of all this evidence before the FBI gets here in the morning.
That's absolutely true. And our NDAs that we have to get notarized.
We can get them notarized, too, after we fire all of our employees.
Of course, we're big on NDAs.
We sure are.
Yeah,
we sure are.
absolutely.
And when it's time to move,
They've got you covered with U-Haul rental. Any U-Haul you want, and all the moving supplies to get you started.
wow. They also offer copying, faxing, and greeting cards. They really are a one-stop shop.
We use them all the time with our business in the construction industry. They've notarized all of our construction documents and construction contracts.
This is a service that we both personally use. I ship guitars out and other musical equipment that I sell on occasion. Big Al's has always been really good to us.
No joke. So if you got something to ship out or any of those services that we talked about before, go see Big Al. He'll take care of you. Roan Road in Spruce Pine.
Big Al's Pack and Ship. We give a ship.
Rebecca is a longtime listener. And we appreciate it, Rebecca.
What's up, everybody? Hello in the chat.
But yeah, help Big Al's cock block the UPS store
Please,
that's already
yeah.
made it to Burnsville. We don't need
Burnsville.
that. We don't.
No.
We need to keep that out.
Speaking of Burnsville, there's a show tomorrow night that everybody needs to go to.
Yes.
I'm going to plug
Tell
this.
us more. We need
Yeah,
to hear
so,
more about this.
So how did it come about? How did all this come about originally?
This is a reunion show of a band that I was once in. Kind of. I was in the precursor to this band. I was in a band called Broken Mercy. Then after Broken Mercy, there was A Time Devised. A Time Devised has reunited. I'm playing guitar for them. We're playing tomorrow night from 7 to 9:30 at the Burnsville Town Center. There's going to be 3 bands Replica, some guys from Johnson City that are awesome. Relentless Flood, some guys, local guys that are incredible. And we're going to finish out the night.
How would you
devised.
describe the music style?
The music style is hard rock. Relentless Flood's a little more metal.
Okay.
Like metalcore.
Yeah.
And A Time Devised is more hard rock.
Right up my alley.
So it's all ages. It's family friendly, and it's completely free. There's no cover charge. Just come and have a good time.
Let's go.
Yeah, just come and have a good time. We're gonna play.
Gonna
some
have beers.
Will there or will there not be a mosh pit?
I don't know. I don't.
Because there will be when I get there. I'm just saying.
I don't know the answer to either of those questions. I don't know. Is there? I don't know if there's.
Well, right across
alcohol
the
in
street is the carriage house.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't been over there, now that place, let me tell you something. Their little outdoor bar, I think it's called. Oh, what's the name of it? It's got some.
What's up,
guy's name.
Nate?
Yeah.
But anyway, that place is awesome. You
I
guys gotta check
can't
it out.
wait to have cigars again. I've got 10 days.
Yeah.
So
Till
the
the
tubes
tubes
come
come
out.
out.
Yeah, and I can have my cigars again. So
God, that's got to be.
it's not fun. You know, I thought I was like I don't really smoke that many cigars, but when I want to smoke a cigar, it's like the only thing in the world that matters. So, first world problems, I know, I get it, but it is what it is. I miss my cigars. There's one in particular, but I can't wait for the season to come back in, but CAO, Brazilian Cigars, they make this cigar called the Fuma Encorda, and it's a hand-wrapped cigar, and it's tied with a nice little rope, and you can't get them all the time, but I just found a box of them.
Really?
And, I want them. But I got to be able to smoke them, but it's good stuff.
I was always a big fan of Padron.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
Can't go wrong with those.
They're good, man.
I like the Rocky Patel Sun Grown. That was always one of my favorites.
I like the
too.
Rocky Patel orange label and the red labels.
I think the
Can't
red
go
label
wrong.
is the Sun Grown.
It
I
is.
think.
It is. Sun-grown red label are really, really good. I mean, I started on Fuente and kind of stuck on Fuentes as well. There's just, I don't like the acid at all.
No, I don't either.
At all.
I don't know why people love
I
those.
don't either. I
They're
think it's the
everywhere.
marketing. I really think it's
Yeah.
the marketing. It's just not a good product from my standpoint. But
They have a very
Yeah.
specific niche that they're trying to market to. I
they
think,
are.
too.
They are.
Yeah.
I
So,
used to like the acid a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
A lot of it.
They've
The
got
cigar has. Let's clarify.
that. Not that ass.
Never mind.
The
We won't
other
say anything more. Never mind. We'll stop right there.
So tell us about this debate.
Good grief, man. Well, I'll tell you this. I spent the whole time watching that thing thinking, man,
Were you yelling at the TV?
yeah, at parts of it. And then my other reaction was I could have done better than this. In fact, Ryder, my son, could have done better than both of them did. And have be more. There was no substance in it whatsoever to me.
That was the takeaway I heard.
Right,
I
yeah.
didn't watch it. I've read some excerpts, but
Trump missed. He took every one of her bait that she threw out. He took every one of them, and then he missed so many opportunities to clap back at her. And I think largely that's arguably due to his giant ego. He wanted to talk more about.
Himself.
Like she would insult him in some way, like, "Oh, you rallies don't have everybody leaves at the end of your rallies," and then he goes off talking about rallies. Meanwhile, they're on his best subject, immigration, and it's like, okay, you spent a minute talking about your rallies out of the 2 minutes that you had to talk about the most important issue in your campaign. You just completely whiffed on it.
That's exactly what I took away from what I watched of it, which was not all of it, but it was a portion. And that was she offered platitudes and Trump was Trump.
Yeah. Well, and she had a much lower bar going into this, in my opinion. All she really had to do was make herself look halfway competent, because nobody really knows Kamala Harris. They don't know her at all.
She was in a middle class family. She went to a middle school. She took middle school classes. She rode a middle class bus.
Right. Mm-hmm. It was a
Lots
lot
of
of
middles.
it was a lot of like you said, platitudes from her. It was a lot of catchwords. It was a lot of don't look back. We can't look back. We can't go
Progress.
backwards.
Look forward. Look to the
progress.
future.
Look forward. We have to.
Nothing that means anything.
Yeah, no.
so
And
the same
she's-
words I've heard literally since I was in fourth grade.
Yes. She said absolutely nothing.
In fact, I started being like, "Don't look back in anger."
But I will give her
Sing
credit.
Oasis.
Oh, Oasis is back together. They're touring.
They are.
Oh, look, can we talk about it? Oh, sorry. Is it the Oasis debate?
I think
Never
that's
mind.
more important than the debate, honestly.
Can you imagine when they put Liam Gallagher up there with?
Right now, you got a license for that middle school?
So here, I boycotted the debate intentionally because the fallout is so much more important. Here's why. The news the next day is this person kicked this person's ass. This person did
That's all
this.
it
This person did this. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the office of the president of the United States, and it sounds like a tier 2 UFC wannabe, like their photo shoot.
not even the
where
main
they're
event.
not the main event. Like they're even at the photo shoot, like they're squared off and
Like it's
duking up, and pushing each
WWE,
other.
right.
Yes, it's like, but like the takeaway is who kicked whose ass, not here's what came away from their opinions of the topics that matter. Here's what's going to help middle America. Here's what's going to keep prices down so you can afford to feed your families with all the blue-collar workers. Nothing I heard from anything of the takeaways had any substance or value of what I didn't hear anything about their platform. I heard a lot of buzzwords. No one came away as like, hey, this is a solution for how we're going to solve for jobs in America, for bringing prices down. Here's how we're going to solve for educational lapses in our system. Used to be here debates, they would discuss a topic or what their platform. I heard nothing of what, I don't know what anybody stands for.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Well,
It's pop culture.
Here's the thing,
It's
though.
social media.
Family Guy had it right when Lois was running for office. These debates are for undecided voters.
yeah.
And that's what they do. The undecided voter, and maybe I'm going to insult a large swath of the population here, whatever it is, what it is. The undecided voter, if you haven't picked who you're going to vote for already,
See,
then you're pretty uninformed.
That's my
Agreed.
thing. Is like if I can't. My dad said this to me today, and I absolutely agree. He's like, just for a second, try to imagine somebody that's not made up their mind by now. He's like, do you really think there's people out there that are like, well, I don't know, Trump or Harris? I mean, maybe a small
People made up their
few.
mind last year.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not even so sure how much this really even changes.
Yeah,
you know what I
agree.
mean?
Well,
Rebecca's right. That's why it's called political theater.
Well, the theater is like one of the biggest stories I saw today. The headline above all the debate was Taylor Swift names her candidate.
Right. That's where we're at.
And I was like, who gives a shit what a musician thinks about anything?
Right.
Let alone Taylor Swift.
Exactly. You know, who I actually have a great deal of respect for from a marketing standpoint. Not
Sure.
anything musical at all, but she's a marketing genius.
Especially
End of
nothing
story.
political.
Yeah, but her political. Honestly, whoever you support, I'm against because on principle.
Just on
because
principle, 'cause it's Taylor
like I don't
Swift.
care. Like so, I don't want to find out who she's for because I don't care.
Yeah.
But that was like the headline. Again, I didn't watch the debate intentionally because it's embarrassing. I got friends all over the world, and friends in Japan and friends in Amsterdam are like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, they are.
And they're like, you know, this is like to them. It looks like Saturday Night Live has become reality.
It
Oh, it
has. It has.
And it's just like this, everything going on looks like a skit, not
Yeah.
the other way around. So
Right.
literally Saturday Night Live could just air the debate again and be the show this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, they gave them so many opportunities to. I have to, well, number one, let's just say this: the moderators could not have been more biased.
Oh, for sure.
Like to the point where they were literally fact checking Trump in real time, and they didn't say anything to her.
No.
And then at the end, so there was a section about Trump saying that the election was stolen from him again. They asked him that question, and the setup to the question was, well, in recent interview, you said that you lost by a hair. So which one is it? You either lost by a hair or the election was stolen from you. Which one is it? And Trump hawed around and finally said that he was being sarcastic when he said he lost by a hair. And the moderator was like, well, it didn't sound sarcastic to me.
Oh.
And then he went back and clapped back again.
Why can they
And
have
then-
opinions? They're supposed to be a moderator.
And then at the very end of it, when it was over, he was like, well, didn't sound sarcastic to me. And like, it's like, wait a minute, dude, I like David Muir. I really do. I think he is honestly one of the better just journalists out there. Just
think
in terms
so
of the way he
after
talks.
that?
Well, not after that, I don't.
Right.
But it's like, look, dude, you're not debating the guy.
Right.
You can't
you know
play
who
that
should moderate?
Yeah.
You know who
Taylor
should moderate?
Swift.
Ricky Gervais.
Oh God,
Yep.
I love
because he don't have a
reunion
dog in the fight. He ain't from this country,
debates. No.
Yep.
and he does not care what he says about who.
Right.
I would like to. I would watch the debate where he's the moderator
Me
I
too.
love
because he
Ricky
would win.
Gervais.
He'd be elected president because he does not care.
But Trump did have so many times when he could have really clapped back and like pinned her on a couple
Right.
of things, and he whiffed on every one of them. Like,
Yeah.
she touted that she got endorsed by Dick Cheney. Man, if I was him, I would have been like, I would have took every opportunity to draw.
I would have shit all over that.
And I've said this from the entire time we've talked about it. It's never been more clear to me that this is a choice between the establishment
100%.
and Donald Trump, who they're scared of.
100%.
I agree with that.
If I was Donald Trump, I would have taken every opportunity. And like they said, okay, well, you got. She's like, well, I got endorsed by Dick Cheney. I would have been like, great, have the guy, Mr. Establishment, Mr.
Penguin from
Military
Batman?
Industrial Complex. Yeah, I would have been like, yeah, you can keep that one. You can keep that one.
Right.
And then like, what was there was a few other ones like that he could just completely whiffed on. Like they asked him a question about like her claiming that she's black or whatever, or and he just was like, well, I don't care. Well, what I would have been like is like, well, listen, the Democratic Party is the one that seems obsessed with identity politics,
With race
so
and
you need to
gender.
pick one. That is like, to me, it don't matter at all. But apparently to Democratic voters, you need to tell your Democratic base what exactly you are. I would have just completely slammed her for that.
I'm going to vote for a black person, a woman, a man. I'm going to vote for whatever, as long as I think they have a good vision for the country and I share their values, or they share my values.
Right.
And I feel like they're genuine.
Yeah.
At least partially.
Yeah.
And they're anti-establishment.
Right.
That's a big part of it, too.
The establishment needs to go away.
It absolutely needs
Party
to.
politics needs to go
Dude,
away.
to get to that point, I mean, we're talking.
Dude, you got banks involved in this.
Yeah, there's no
You've
way.
got banks involved in
There's
this,
no
and you've got
way.
banks involved in this.
Yeah, there's no way. This is rooted so deep. I'm not even sure that a bloody revolution would. solve
okay.
this.
Here's one question, Chase, about last night's debate. What is the number one most important thing for Harris's platform? Can you even answer that? Do you have that information? All right, Trump. What's his most important thing?
I know what the most important thing for on her campaign is.
Okay.
It's Brett Summer.
What's
I'm
Brett
being
Summer?
serious. That was the whole deal. Don't you remember the DNC?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's Brett Summer at the DNC.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
the takeaway from the DNC.
I got you.
That's their
I forgot
platform.
about
That's
that.
what they're running on. They're running on pop culture.
Well, they don't have to. Here's the problem: is when you have one political party that's completely backed up by not only the swamp, just the establishment
Big
of the
business.
government and the big business that are in bed with them.
Yeah.
But the media is also behind her.
Yep.
She don't even have to run a fucking campaign.
No, she don't.
They're running it for her, and that should scare anybody. That's if you just. I implore you, and I know. Listen, I sound like a person that is, and admittedly, I probably do root for Donald Trump only because I think that this is a fight between the establishment,
And the population.
government, and the pop. It's
Yeah.
a populist referendum. Is
It
really
is.
what it is at the end of the day. And so, admittedly, I'm a little bit biased in that regard, just because the Democrats are so bad. They've sold out everything that they believed in, hook,
Well,
line, and sinker.
The Republicans have two.
Well, they have, of course, but Donald Trump's not a Republican.
No, he's not. I'm not talking about Donald
Yeah.
Trump. I'm talking about the Republicans,
Exactly.
the Republican Party.
Right. So, I mean, that's really just it. To me, it's a fight between the
The
either-
Uniparty.
Yeah,
The
it's a fight
Uniparty.
against the Uniparty is what it is.
Yep.
In my opinion.
You know, what's unfortunate. Growing up just an average kid, blue collar, middle class kid in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, as all of us, most of us did, or that are listening. I recognize smart people. I've been around a lot of smart people. I've met a lot of smart people because when you're from here, you're kind of sheltered, and we got a limited group. We got some really smart people here. I'm not saying we don't, but we have a limited group of really smart people here. When you get on the world, you meet a lot of really just freaking brilliant people. Out of all those brilliant people, why are none of them running for office?
I know, right?
I mean, it's just a shame that, like, I've met some super smart people, some in this county, but just across the country, and it's just, this is the best we got. I keep coming back to, like, why are these the two people?
I could name people in this county that would be more qualified
1,000%.
to do that job
Yeah.
than those two people.
Right now, probably name the same, at least two,
Here's the thing,
two
though.
to three of the same folks.
You know why they're not doing it? Because they're smart people.
Possibly.
Because they're smart people.
Or they can't be manipulated.
Yeah.
Or you know that
They're
going into
virtuous.
politics is going to make you an absolute monster. It does.
No matter what you do.
It's either going to
No
make
matter
you
what
a monster or, I mean, it's also probably a healthy dose of fear, too, because, I mean, let's face it, you're going to have the entire, if you do get to the point where you are a serious candidate and you are anti-establishment and pro-population, pro-America, you're going to have the entire establishment, all of it, against you, digging up every tiny little earthworm
Right.
from your past that's probably a nothing burger, but you're going to be drugged through the mud to the point where, I mean, look what they've done to Trump and everybody who is part of that populist movement, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard,
and
all of them.
Somebody will climb up on top of a roof and try to kill
Try
your
to kill
ass.
you. Yeah.
Which everybody sweeps under the rug. Forget that this dude,
Right.
like someone tried to murder him.
And I'm not entirely
Murder.
convinced that
Which
that
I called a
wasn't
week
some
before it
fishy
happened, by the way.
business. Yeah, you did.
On the show.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
And if I was Donald Trump, I would have went full on conspiracy theorist. Like, look, you're already here. Go down the rabbit hole. Be like, these people tried to kill me.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Own it.
To be 100%, how do you look at that?
And they
we
glossed
know-
over. They don't mention it.
We know nothing about that guy.
No.
Nothing. Now look at what happened in that Georgia. We know everything about what happened with that Georgia school shooter. Where he came from, who his mom and dad was, what was on his phone, what his motivations were. And you're telling me some guy shot the former president in the head, and we don't know nothing.
And nothing's
What?
even being mentioned about it anymore.
No.
No, it's gone. Old news.
So you tell me, he would have been, to me, he would have been completely within his bounds to be like, these people tried to kill me.
Yeah.
So the choice, here it is. This is start. I would have used
They believe and
every-
condone murder.
Yes.
That's their platform.
Yeah. And
It really is.
And okay, so you got all that. Now take all the other stuff. It's already been proven that they had a hand, at least a heavy hand, in the JFK assassination. Boom, there it is. There it is. And not to mention, we all know that they meddle around in foreign countries. They meddle around here. They do all kinds of stuff.
Did either party mention anything about 9/11?
No.
That's shameful.
On the eve. of
That's
9/11.
shameful.
On 9/11.
Well, it was on the eve.
The,
Oh, it
the
was?
10th,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
10th,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
Monday,
yeah,
but still, it's
now,
shameful.
the next day, they were all, it was Biden.
It's too late.
Trump, and I think Michael.
A leader would have stopped, said,
Yeah.
before we start anything, tomorrow is like one of
Right.
the most tragic days in the history of America. They would have said the right
Yeah.
thing. I'm just saying, you don't gloss over. That's because you're blinded by, politics has become celebrity.
Yeah, it has. You're right.
And demigod celebrity.
Yeah, and even Trump. I mean, even Trump with that, like he's created
Yeah.
a literal like cult of personality following.
All
behind
of them
him.
have. Every one
I
of
was
them
too
have.
young to remember, but I wonder if folks thought like this was similar, like when Reagan, when an actor became president.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was the fear
That's a good question.
then.
Right.
I'm too young to remember. It was the first election like I really remember. I mean, I remember Jimmy Carter somewhat, but I was young. I was only 5 when Jimmy Carter went in. But I do remember Reagan clearly, and I started reading a lot then. But I do remember people being concerned because he was an actor. That was the whole thing. Like, oh, he's just going to act as president. He's not, but
That almost played in his favor.
it did. It
He
really
looked
did.
presidential. Him
They
and
did.
Nancy looked presidential.
They
They
did.
acted presidential. They carried it and there's something to be said for that. But even, Ronald Reagan was brilliant. My dad mentioned this today, and I'd forgotten about this, but it's true. He was brilliant in debates, too.
Oh, God. he
They
was
asked
so
him a
good.
question about his age at one point, and
Yeah.
I can't remember who he was in a debate with, but it was a much younger guy. And they asked him, do you have any concerns about, your advanced age or whatever? He's like, it's funny you say that. I wasn't really going to make my candidate's lack of inexperience. And, that's what he said. And even the other guy laughed. And so that question's dead in the water. Trump needed a couple of those moments is what he
Yeah.
needed, and he didn't do
That
really
takes a
any
level
of
of discipline and maturity,
yeah.
though.
He got a couple when he was like, she started trying to talk over him. He's like, excuse me.
Now that I did.
I'm
see.
talking.
Yeah, he
and
pulled
he's like,
hers.
does that sound
That's
familiar?
I'm talking. Excuse me, I'm talking.
Right.
That was hilarious.
Which that was a good one, but he needed about 6 more of those, and they were right there for him, and he just didn't take it.
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, I'm like I said, I don't know how much that
The whole
really
thing could have been
changes.
planned too, because he crushed Biden the first one. So this is the return match. So they can have there's a final debate still coming.
I don't know. I think
this
today
it?
they said that was it.
That was it.
Yeah. Which is crazy,
run out
but
of
I mean, I
time.
think there's an argument to be made that I don't even know how useful
Who made that
debates
decision,
really
by the
are.
way? That was
I think Trump
did.
turned it down.
Did
yeah.
it?
Which I don't think he should have. I think he should have took it, probably. But here we are.
I'd like to go one more round.
But I guess the question is, where do you think
had it
that
to be-
changed anything?
No.
I don't really think it
I
changed
didn't move
much.
the needle one near the other. It's just another news cycle. It's to sell advertising.
But I think Kamala won that debate, and I think it's fair to say that because what she had to do was come out and at least look like she was halfway qualified, and I think she did that, which is a low bar. Like, admittedly, it's a very low bar.
Well, you just
But
got to be
she
over
did-
35 years of age.
Right. Yeah.
And born in the United States.
And born in the United States.
Well, I mean, I
I
truly
would rather
think-
have Arnold Schwarzenegger right now as a candidate.
I would too.
I'm just saying.
As crazy as that sounds,
I
it'd
think-
probably be better.
I'm going to predict that we're going to get a Harris win. I think we're going to get a Harris victory.
Oh, that's
And I think it's going to be a lot of all the same. The economy is going to continue to get worse for the middle class, and they're going to continue to promise to fix things when they only make them worse. We're going to continue the proxy war in Ukraine until it escalates into a hot conflict with Russia and then China. That's going to happen.
And I think the establishment wants
They
that.
absolutely want that.
They want to go after Russia so hard.
They do.
And they want to go after Iran so hard.
They do. They want nuclear war.
They
want nukes.
I ran so far away.
They want to fire those nukes because then they can contract out more nukes to be
Yeah, our
made.
nukes are getting old. They
They need to be updated. So let's just
fire them off.
fire them
baby.
off. Yeah.
Which I think that's just a shame. And that's what kills me about this. It's just like, number one, I would like the candidates to be better and to be more stark. But my God,
How do we fix it?
I don't know, man.
We don't.
I don't
There's
know
no
if
fixing
there is
this.
fixing
There's no fixing this. It's going to have to be burnt down and start from scratch. There's no fixing this. Washington, D.C. is a feeding trough for people. It's a feeding trough.
I tell you what's funny about all this, though, is you see a lot of, like, people are getting involved in local politics. I feel like more.
Local politics, and I see this everywhere.
Yeah.
People have largely given up on the Fed,
Yeah.
and they're looking for their local community to become what they want.
Which
Yeah.
is good.
So
A good
it
thing in
is.
the
Well,
long
that's
run.
how all this stuff started.
Yeah.
Right? And I think communities are struggling, though, now because there's Fed's pressure for them to make their community exactly the same as the community next to it. You can't be different. Everything's got to be the same.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier about making things better for blue-collar workers, and stuff. And I got to say, as someone who works around white-collar, middle management, and you do too, I know plenty of them that are living paycheck to paycheck.
That's changed in the
And
last
that
5
is-
years.
Yeah.
Literally the last 5 years.
Yeah. When you have people making six figures, living paycheck to paycheck, and it's not because they're living extravagant lifestyles, it's because their rent
where it's at.
is $3,000 a month.
My son's 27, he's like, I'm never going to be a homeowner.
No, never.
He's like, unless I marry a chick and we both make $100,000 a year apiece, and realize that by the time student loans are over and by the time we've paid off this house, we're 75 years old.
Yeah.
And he said that's real math. And he says that's interest and inflation adjusted over the time we've got to live. If we're both earning $200,000 a year in Boston, that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
He's like, so why? Why would I sign up for that?
Well, it's inflation. Inflation is a killer. And Trump said that right on Tuesday night. He hit that pretty good, and I think he's exactly right. Inflation kills countries. It kills everybody, and it affects everybody from the top down. It's white collar, It's middle class. It's poor. It's everybody. And I don't care what anybody says. The inflation's 8%. Well, that's a big bunch of the biggest fucking bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Because I can tell you right now, I used to buy my kids chocolate chip pancakes, frozen chocolate chip pancakes. They love those things. Were $1.50 3 years ago, or 4 years ago. Now they are right over $4.
Yeah.
So you tell me, let's do the percentage on that and figure out how much inflation.
When regular eggs are the same price that organic eggs were 3 years ago.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's really
I
bad.
remember 89 cents a dozen.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's
Not
not
long
just
ago.
inflation. It's inflation working in tandem with the real estate bubble, with the car loan bubble. Everything is. Why is everything a bubble now? Everything's a bubble, and it's like we're like, oh well, it's got to correct. It's got to correct sometime. But it's not. It's only the bubble's only expanding. Is that due to inflation?
It's due to people understand the bubble and they make as much money as they can and get out
They
for a
exploit.
bus.
Yeah, they exploit the bubble.
Yes, so they're like, okay, this is the bubble. Great, let's all cash in. Like we don't hear about cryptocurrency at all anymore. You don't hear anything about crypto.
Not really, no.
At all.
No.
And it was a giant bubble that busted.
Yep.
And it's just, that was like the hot thing. And everything is a bubble, but bubbles are created because you create fear, you create panic, all of a sudden sales rise, and you just got to be inside knowledge and know when to get out.
I think a lot of it too is caused from people, well, not people, banks, big banks, trading futures.
Futures is the big thing. I mean,
That manipulates the price of everything.
oh, it drives everything too. And I've got concerns too when you've got these big companies buying tons of real estate
yeah.
and turning everything to rental property. All of us are going to have housing as a subscription service in our lifetime.
We will.
Well, RFK hit that
Yeah.
like point blank.
It
on
should
the
be
money.
illegal.
He's like, we need to stop BlackRock and all these companies from going around and buying up real estate in America, and because there's literally going to be none. You wonder why there's no inventory.
Yeah.
Well, you got these big companies
that have owned everything.
Yeah, they own everything and they're buying up everything.
Which is the long-term effect of the bubble.
It is.
Yep.
Let's catch up in the chat real
Yep.
quick. We've had some. So Rebecca says, there's a reason they call it okay. Well, yeah, she said she saw going back to Taylor Swift. 90% of Taylor Swift songs are about choosing the wrong person. So consider that.
That's a great argument. Yeah, and she says
That's
that's
true.
the best argument I've ever heard against Harris. Where has she been for the last 3.5 years? Yeah, and again, Trump, I would have hit that every time.
I would have to.
Every time she said something, I'd have been like,
Your administration's
great.
been in office for 3.5 years.
Why haven't you done it by now?
Yeah. Why are you promising to do it next year?
Right. Exactly.
Why aren't you doing this now? What's up, Jerry? I hope you're doing well, man. The car industry is falling flat on its face. No one can afford a $100,000 truck and 60,000 cars. Hell, SUVs are now $100,000.
You can't. You used to be able to get a good pickup truck for about $10,000, like a good 5-year-old pickup.
That meant it had
truck.
4-wheel drive and no rust.
Yeah.
That's what that meant.
That's it. That's it. Now you can't. It's
You can't buy a
$30,000.
beater for $10,000.
No, not a. I mean,
A beater.
I know. I saw
legit
somebody
beater.
literally selling a truck that had 200,000 miles on it and was 14 years old, and it was $32,000.
Good God.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
like,
God.
how?
Well, so y'all are very familiar with my taste in vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm always looking at cars. Well, the cars that I was looking at 2 years ago that were $100,000 are now $250,000.
Yeah.
Like to get into a higher end Mercedes SUV, not a G wagon, not a G wagon,
It's like a.
just like a GLS or a
Right.
GLE, $250,000.
Yet on the flip side, a Lamborghini SUV is $250,000.
Uh-huh.
When you'd expect that to be $1 million,
Exactly.
like what's going on?
Well, what's going on was Lamborghini made a bunch of those SUVs, and people were like, "Oh, nice Audi, bro," and they can't sell them.
That's right.
So
there's
they
some-
were selling for $500,000. They were priced at $500,000.
And everybody's
So
like,
now-
yeah, no.
yeah, and I mean they're beautiful. They've got massive V8s in them.
I hear they don't last.
I don't know. I think they probably do because they're mostly Audi.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's an Audi with a Lambo badge on it, so they probably last
White
just
labeled
fine.
Audi. Lambo
It
white
really
labeled
is.
Audi.
It really is. But it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my truck as long as I'm alive.
I'm going to drive that Rover until it dies.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
where I'm
trading
I'm
for a
riding the
minute.
wheels off that 2005 black F-150.
F-150,
You're a wise
yeah, man.
man.
Did you get your taillight fixed?
No, not yet, but I'm
Damn
going
it,
through tomorrow.
Chase. Damn it, Chase.
I got taillights going out all over. I noticed there was one out on the car today. I'm like, are you
Dude,
serious?
I have a solution for that. I'll have to show you a photo of my buddy. His old Ford Ranger, and I mean like 80s Ford Ranger. Taillights went out. He taped, and I don't mean like did anything. Taped flashlights to them, and so his taillights went on for the brake light. He put a little a remote button that would flash. So when he hit the brakes, he'd hit the button so the taillights would come
That's
on.
great.
I'll
That's
show you a
great.
picture.
Catch up in the chat there. Jeremy Wise says, creating fear, creating panic. Sounds like Trump's debate strategy the other night. He was really off the deep end. Was he?
When it comes to the
Was he off
cat
the deep
thing,
end?
I think that was probably a little bit of a stretch. Why? You got 1,000 other things you could say about immigration, and yet you go to this thing that happened like literally that just came up like 24 hours before that largely probably nobody in the audience or maybe 10% of them had even heard of. And then you're opening yourself up to get made fun of, you know. Although I've seen some things that sure looks like it's kind of true, you know, and it doesn't surprise me.
I mean, there is
but you
that
got
body
to
cam
stay
video.
away from that shit.
There is that one body cam video, you know,
Yeah.
circulating about the person eating the cat. I don't know anything about it. All I know is I know that some Haitians do practice voodoo, and in voodoos they do ritualistic sacrifice. So there's that. But I don't know. I don't know if that. I don't know.
Hell,
that,
we handle snakes at church. So.
Speaking of snakes,
I handle snakes all the time.
Speaking of snakes, I went to snake handling church many, many years ago. It's been a long time ago, and it was somewhere between Rome Mountain and Stony Creek. So that could be there's a big piece. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, and I do remember like the people brought the snakes, and they handled it very much like your individual. Mm-hmm. Like they know how to handle it; it won't bite you. When you grab a snake by the middle and shake it around, if you don't get bit, that's the miracle.
That's the miracle.
Like, and it's not because I mean, it's just I was there kind of more of a sociology experiment because I didn't really believe it was true, like these things existed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I did see it, and I was all of 17, 18. It's a long time ago. But I really remember, like, this is really an interesting thing. I just want to understand.
They also drink poison too.
Yeah, drink strychnine.
I'd
They
heard
drink
about that
poison.
later. And I was like, so they're like dancing around, throwing the Bibles up in the air and all that stuff. And I'm a man of faith. I'm not saying anything disrespectful at church at all. I was just trying to understand. And
No, but that's insane.
it hit me that there was like snakes loose, and I left because like I ain't about that. It's not my thing. I'm not trained for that. I don't
Got the
have
hell out of there.
like I was like there. I was like, this is really interesting. Like what? Go get out the
shit,
eye level,
and
and we'll talk about eye level skateboard shop sometime.
Rattlesnakes, copperheads, and cottonmouths are generally what they handle at those because that's the only venomous snakes we have in the United States. We have coral snakes too, but I've never seen a snake handling church use coral snakes. It's always the pit vipers, and I wonder if it's because the coral snake venom is a really fast acting neurotoxin.
You're gone,
and you're gone pretty quickly.
yeah, probably.
And they're the most. They also have a, some of them, the Texas coral snakes, not your eastern coral snakes, but I think your Texas coral snakes have a cocktail venom that also has some myotoxins and cytotoxins that are incredibly painful. Supposedly the most painful snake bite in the United States.
Really?
I
Yeah.
don't want to test it.
Let's talk about snake bites.
Let's do it. Okay, yeah. So Florence, South Carolina.
Yeah, give the update. I gotta hit the bathroom real quick.
All right, so I'm going to give everybody
Okay,
the
I'll
brief
go.
synopsis of what happened. So, last Thursday night, about 2 a.m. in Florence, South Carolina, an individual who I'm not going to name names, decided that he was going to post a video on his Facebook page of him free handling his inland taipan. Now, an inland taipan, for those that don't know, that is an Australian snake. It is a venomous elapid. It's in the Elapidae family, and it is also the most venomous snake on the planet. It is drop for drop the most toxic snake on the planet. This man posted a video of himself free handling his. He owned it. It was a private collection. And in the video, he was touting about how he can control it and how you have to hold it by the middle of the body, and when it's trying to bite you, as it was, you know, twist it around and try to manipulate it in some way, some fashion. And this snake was very angry. It was, I know, you know, a little bit about snakes. I'm not going to claim to be no herpetologist, but this snake was displaying a lot of really defensive behavior. It was twitching about. It was striking. It was, its tail was flicking like crazy. Those are all signs that the snake is very angry and wants you to leave it alone. So he posted this video. Well, I woke Friday morning to a Facebook update from him asking anybody who has access to inland taipan venom to please call Florence Hospital in South Carolina, and listed the phone number.
So the video didn't show him getting
No,
bit,
it did
though.
not. No,
Yeah.
he got bit after the video.
I got you.
And then he posted another status update that said it was misspelled, and I'm sure at this point he was probably losing consciousness. Like, all jokes aside, he was losing consciousness. Jeez. But it was misspelled, but it was basically saying in immediate need of inland taipan antivenom. If you have access to any, please call Florence Hospital, and listed the number. So he did get antivenom. He got antivenom. He got, I think, 4 vials. This individual, the entire time, has been free handling these animals. And here's the thing, like, I'm not gonna necessarily throw stones at him for free handling, because I have free handled my snakes.
There's a technique and like anything else.
And I don't
training.
condone it. Don't ever try it. Anybody, never, ever, ever pick up a snake with your hand. That's something that I have stopped publicly doing anyway. I don't post any free handling videos or pictures anymore. Because it does, and I'm going to explain why. You'll see why momentarily once you see the fallout from what happened to this individual. So anyway, it's not necessarily the free handling that I have a problem with. It's his hubris and his arrogance that was on display the entire time he was free handling. And anybody that said anything about anything he was doing was met with, I mean, he burned a lot of bridges. He burned some big bridges of people who he was then begging for help to save his life.
And weren't a lot of his animals like in poor condition too?
All of his animals were in poor condition. Okay. So the cops, after he lost consciousness, he went 12 hours without antivenom. It took him 12 hours to get antivenom to him. He, once antivenom was administered, he was on a ventilator for 4 days, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but 4 days. He's still on renal dialysis. So that 12 hours that it took them to get the antivenom to him and get it started, it's not like you get the antivenom and it just starts immediately reversing things. That 12 hours, that venom was wreaking havoc in his body. It was shutting down all of his... shutting down his respiratory system. It was damaging his nerves. It was damaging his synapses. But so it's a post and pre-synaptic neurotoxin. So it's destroying his nervous system. It's a nephrotoxin. It's destroying his kidneys and his renal system. It's a cardiotoxin. So it's destroying his heart tissue. For 12 hours, this venom is destroying this man's body.
It's crazy that in essence, to the human body, a small amount of venom can do that much damage.
Let me explain exactly how toxic this animal is. The inland taipan bite, one bite from an adult has enough venom in it to kill 100 grown men or 10,000 mice.
Good grief.
10,000
How many
mice.
political candidates? So, I'm sorry.
2.
Okay.
2.
Just trying to understand toxicity. Is
just kidding, FBI.
Just kidding. Okay, so then the question came up: what happened to this animal? Did he secure the taipan after the bite?
Oh crap!
Man lives in an apartment complex with 13 of the most deadly snakes on the planet in Tupperware totes, not enclosures.
And he's not in the right mind to make sure the enclosures are sealed up, the things back in his cage.
He did, in fact, secure the snake, because the next day, with permission from the family and a search warrant, the police went in, confiscated all the animals. They were all accounted for, so no snakes were loose, no snakes were lost. They were all accounted for, and they were all euthanized. And after that, and
that's unfortunate for the animals.
It is very unfortunate. Actually, I take that back. His animals were in such poor condition It was
They
a
were
blessing.
suffering. Okay.
It was a blessing for the animals.
It's still unfortunate that they got to that state.
It is.
And that's the
It is.
outcome. Because, I mean, at a minimum, a zoo, anything there could have been so much more benefit in other ways.
Well, zoos generally won't take private collections like that because unless it is a very well-established public keeper who has quarantine protocols for their animals when they get them.
There's protocols. That
Yeah,
make it-
there is. There
Got
is.
it.
So they did not qualify for any of that because of the condition they were in and because of who owned them. Now, leading to the fallout from this, he is now off a ventilator and regained consciousness. He is still on renal dialysis, and he's likely going
That'll probably
to
be a
have,
forever thing, right?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's going to be he's going to have months to years recovery from this. This is not going to be you go home and go back to work.
If I was this guy, I'd go and buy the nearest fucking lottery ticket I could find. Because he's one lucky son.
You know,
of a bitch.
I still feel like there's going to be legal implications.
So that's
from
what I was
this.
getting ready to.
I was getting ready to ask
There
you, what
has
do you
to
think
be.
is going to be?
So, and this is why I said earlier that I don't publicly free handle anything anymore. Because after that bite, South Carolina General Assembly had an emergency meeting
Yep, that's what I figured.
to discuss the legalities and what they need to change and make these animals illegal, and if they do need to make these animals illegal in South Carolina. And that is a shame because right now South Carolina has some pretty lax laws concerning exotic animals and venomous animals. And up until recently, until this incident, I can speak for the majority, anyway, of people I know in South Carolina that own these animals, and I know several. They keep them very responsibly. They abide by the laws and local regulations.
So was he in violation of any of the current laws?
I'm not sure. I heard that he was in violation of local ordinances, that those animals were in, they were illegal in the township that he was in. But actually, yes, he was. He was in violation of one statute that was currently, and that was because he did not have them in the proper containers or enclosures. He did not have them secured properly. He did not have them labeled properly, and they were in an apartment complex, which also is
Illegal.
It stipulates in that in the legislation that it cannot be in an apartment complex. It has to be in a house, I believe.
How in the world did the apartment complex not know about that?
They don't know a lot of stuff.
No, they
Typically,
don't.
I
They
mean,
don't. So-
there's a lot of things that goes on. In
Yeah,
commercial properties.
Rebecca, Fafo, he did fuck around and find out. He sure did, and we've all been waiting for this moment, and it just had to be. When he gets bit, it has to be the mother of all snakes, like
Right.
the inland taipan. One thing, Rebecca, the red on black friendly jack, red on yellow kill a fella. Do not go by that. That can, because coral snakes can vary so much in coloration. You can't trust that. That could get you bit and get you in big trouble. So the best thing is, if you can't positively ID it 100%, just don't pick it up.
Or just don't pick it up at all, Jimmy's going to say.
Or if you're me, just pick it up.
Okay, so couple things back
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I assume, like anything, like if you're a collector of the original Eastman and Laird Teenage Mutant Ninja comic books, like if you're a real collector, you probably know all the guys in America who have them, who collect them. It becomes a small group. If you collect postage stamps, or like my dad or a lot of people do, at the end of the day, you probably know everyone in your area. So I'm assuming that the snake community has a community. People
Very
have
much
snakes,
so.
and you guys,
We
gals,
do.
probably all know each other
Yeah.
very well because it's a niche thing.
It
and
is.
like most niche things,
It is.
especially the internet, you find ways to communicate. So I assume this was no surprise.
Oh, no. Well, even, look, Jerry in the chat says that Jerry is even familiar with this guy, and he's not even in the snake community. Like, this guy has a very big channel, too. He's got a big YouTube channel and a pretty big platform.
So there could be repercussions if people think he's trustworthy, knows what he's doing, and
That's
follow this
exactly
behavior.
the problem.
And all of a sudden, you got a young person who's not well versed and jaded enough by dealing with humans and he just trusts people blindly. He's like, oh, I can pick up any snake and do this because this is what this guy said you do.
Well, I had a person reach out to me and actually tell me that he had lulled them into, when they first started getting into venomous animals, that he had lulled them into this false sense of, oh, well, he's, handling forest cobras and mambas and stuff and picking them up. He's fine. And of course in the videos he's like, oh yeah, it's totally fine, you can do this, these are not to be afraid of, blah 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 blah. And he's like, and I mean, nothing for me because I'm a nobody that just I'm an idiot that has snakes. But he was like, thank God that I met you and you told me do not do that, that you will die.
There's a part of me that's like, why would you want to handle venomous snakes to begin with? There's a part of me that'll say that.
Sure,
but
I get that.
I'm also the guy that used to do a heel flip to a nose slide down 20 steps with a kick flip out on a skateboard.
Sure.
Which, honestly, by comparison, is the same thing. You can still break your back, break your neck, die. All those things are true. So I understand from that aspect that from a rational standpoint, people may not understand, but it's something that folks do. And it's like anything, like skateboard is an analogy. I trained, I got really hard, focused, did it all the time, and you learn techniques, you get with other people who are good. So I assume that the snake thing, there's techniques and everything, skills you have to develop as well.
There are, yeah. And I mean, it's no secret, I've been bit. I've been bit a few times. And none of my bites were from free-handling. They were from accidents. They were accidents that happened when I was handling the snake correctly. And, it happens. But thankfully, I'm forward-thinking enough to have bite protocols and my own supply of anti-venom.
Why in the world? It should at least be a requirement that if you're going to have something like that, especially an inland taipan.
You should at least, inland taipan, 100% you need to have anti-venom, but you need to at least have a bite protocol. That's the thing. This dude didn't even have a bite protocol. And they're $10 each to get from this Florida Snake Bite Institute. $10. He did not have, and he talks so much shit about the Florida Snake Bite Institute.
Well, but this is an interesting thing, honestly, because it goes, like you were saying, Jimmy, it goes for a lot of different things. Like you see people, like no secret, me and Laura got into the kayaking thing. We're going down the North Toe River. This is not now once you get in the Toe River Gorge, you get in some good white water.
And if you get a heavy rain before.
Yeah. But, me and Laura have had it out, because Laura's big thing is she wants to tan. When she's out there, it's sunny. I get it. You know what I mean? And she doesn't wear a life vest because of it. She probably should, but that's her risk.
Some weird tan lines, though, from a life vest. It just messes everything up.
But, I've heard those from watching the other kayak channels. It's like even these guys even go out on they'll go out on like a lake in like the most stable boat that you could possibly get. And they're still, I watched one guy, he just forgot his in the truck. He literally paddled back over there, turned the video off, went and got the thing, got back on because his whole thing is like, look, he's like, it's the number one thing you can do. It's like putting a seatbelt on in a car.
Right.
Like, just do that. You never know what's going to happen. What if you pass out? What if something happens? You're in the water.
Right. Is there real quick? This is a tangent.
So it's responsibility, is what I'm getting at. It's responsibility.
Is there still a little part of probably everyone in this room that when you take your seatbelt off, drive your car, you feel a little bit like a badass for a second?
Yeah.
Like there's like still like a little rebellious, like some days you're just like, I'm not wearing my seatbelt. You can go to hell with it. That's a tangent.
That's weird because I handle venomous snakes, but all I can
wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, I wear my seatbelt.
But no, that's not weird because you have anti-venom. You have all these things in place. It's protocol.
And that's what a seatbelt is.
You follow protocol.
Yeah.
Me, Jackie gets on me all the time because I don't wear my seatbelt.
And I hate the freaking beeping, too.
Well, you can get around that. But there's not that I would know or encourage it. I'm just saying, back to the skateboarder thing, part of that. All right, another quick question. Anytime you've been bit, did it make you reluctant or just think that this was a bad idea? Or did you decide, I'm going to figure out how to not get bit again?
Yeah, no, I never reconsidered my snakes once.
It's funny because I've broken both arms, all my fingers, toes, skateboard, and everything. And every time I broke something, my reaction was like, I need to stop this.
Yeah.
My reaction is like, I need to fall less.
Yeah.
Now I'm 51 years old, still kick around my skateboard. It's harder to not fall, but I still don't want to get out. Like nothing says don't get on your skateboard. Like you're 51, stop skating.
Right.
That's not what goes through my head.
I think it's also too, you have to understand that especially if you're putting yourself out there, like on YouTube and stuff like, you have a responsibility to be,
I think so,
a good steward of that,
so.
Platform, and that goes by reducing the chance of mistakes and accidents and harm by any way possible. Sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I do. Goes back to the life vest.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And I give Laura help. You don't you don't really want to go kayaking alone. I've done it several times. I wouldn't, you know.
It's a bad idea.
Well,
because
It's a bad idea because what if something
Right.
happens? So it's like everything, you know, everybody takes risk. There's inherent risks in everything.
Sure.
But I think when you're pretending or putting yourself out there
When
as
you're
some sort of
pretending-
authority
Yeah,
on it,
exactly.
then you need to make sure that what you're exhibiting to the people that are watching
And this is
that
a perfect example of Dunning-Kruger. Perfect example. This guy thinks he knows way more about these animals than he does, and it's clearly evident, demonstrably evident now. And I operate from a position where I know very little in my mind. I know enough to just do what I do and
Right.
hopefully not die.
But you know enough to reduce the risks.
I try my best to reduce the risk.
Right.
And I mean, free handling, that's not. I say I don't do it publicly anymore. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I actually free handled one of my snakes.
Right.
Dude, I'm cautious free handling cats.
Like it's been a long time since I've picked up and free handled one of my snakes, especially since the most recent bite being the cobra.
That cobra hates everybody on
It
this
does.
planet, by the way.
It does.
It wants all of us. Just count.
Take it out of that
just-
enclosure and it becomes a puppy, though.
It does.
the
Well, that
weirdest
Mo
thing.
does. The other one does.
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
about the little
Yeah.
female monocle, but. It's just not worth the risk. Honestly, to me, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth because the reward is very little, and the reward's just like, oh, I held a snake, but the risk is you may die.
Yeah. You're literally just playing with fire at that point.
Yeah,
Literally.
And like I
Quite
know
literally.
I have bite protocols and I have anti-venom,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that a snake bite couldn't kill me.
Right. Well, and two, I
For
think,
sure. Doesn't mean it's going to work. Doesn't mean a million things
There's
could
a
happen.
million things that could happen.
I think there's also another thing of you have to make sure that you're always teachable.
Yes.
Like, if you ever get to a point with any subject, anything that's dangerous or anything that's like that, or really any subject at large at all,
Anything.
if you ever get to the point where you're like, I don't need to know anything
Right.
else. Well, the minute you stop learning and stop refining your craft and whatever it is,
You're a political candidate.
exactly.
You find yourself debating Trump.
Yes, exactly.
You say,
but I mean, it's
How did I get here?
it's one of those things that's just common sense. in
Yeah,
a
you
lot of
have.
ways.
My hope is to learn until I take my last breath.
Yeah.
Even if that last thought is, I learned this is my last breath. Right? I mean, like anything.
Yeah.
Right.
It is. You definitely need to continue.
Well, it makes things boring when you don't when you're like, I know everything. Well,
Who would want to know everything?
I don't.
That takes
don't
all
wanna
the
know
that takes
everything.
all the
42.
wonder out of the
Yeah,
world.
exactly. Curiosity is something that should keep
Sure.
you going, and if you refuse to learn anything, then you're no longer curious.
No.
Random Noah question. Do you free handle snakes? Wake up. Caught off guard. What are your thoughts on free handling snakes?
As in, if I would, or the fact that he does.
Okay, let's start with would you first.
If they were non-venomous, sure, I'll hold one. I don't care.
Okay, venomous.
I'll pass. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, back to the other question. What's your thoughts about Josh free handling snakes?
Well, I understand that he goes out of his way to make sure that he is try to be in as little danger as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as long as you do it carefully and professionally, it is what it is.
Well, and that's
And
what's
now
the
you
best.
know, a
Yeah.
message from Noah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Thank you for the random.
It is still incredibly inherently dangerous, and I don't condone it or advise it. And like I said, I've not done that in a long time. I've not free handled any of my snakes. Even the little garter snake, but that's a little different. They're harmless to humans, and that one just shits all over me. That's all that thing does.
You know those little ring neck snakes, the little orange ring neck snakes we have around here everywhere.
Yeah.
Those little things are the most adorable things, and I don't mind picking those things up, but they have so much hate in their hearts. They really want to be more vicious
everyone I've
than they
picked
are.
up is like super docile.
Do they flip their tails? I mean, maybe I'm pinching their heads or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe I'm grabbing them wrong. Don't know what I'm doing. But they like start whipping me with their tails. I'm like,
Right.
I just like really want to like look at you, and they're like, oh no, you're going to die.
Well,
big
it
man.
is. It's the way you hold them, and that's where
Yeah.
the technique comes in. If you pick up if you pick up a snake and you want it to at least, I'm not going to say it's not going to bite you, but if you want to minimize it, you gotta be a tree.
Oh.
If you put any pressure on it whatsoever,
Then it's gonna
going to be like, oh, something's got me, and it's going to bite you. But if you're just like a tree and you kind of got to walk them in your hands like this, especially the colubrids that are really, really fast, you just kind of walk them in your hands. They'll go forward, and you just keep rotating your hands, and the snake's like, I'm trying to get away, and you're like, well, you're not going anywhere. But that's how you do it. With reducing the risk of getting bit.
I got popped by a black
Anyway.
snake when I was a kid. I was riding my bike around, of course, giant 6-foot black snakes across the gravel
Right.
road in the summers. They always are around here. And I was like, I'm just going to mess with this thing. It's harmless. So I tapped its tail. They don't like that.
No, they hate their tails
They
being
do
messed
not
with.
like that at all.
No.
And I was
No,
like,
no.
it pops at some a bad kid. And you're like, oh, cool. That's all right. That's all right. Like, you're not that fast. Dude, that thing, I mean, it headbutted me more than it bit
Yeah,
me the first
yeah.
time. It, like, headbutted my knee. And I was like, how? It was amazing to me how it was, like, way over there. And then instantly, like, I was even on the way before it started turning around.
They're so
and it
fast.
warned me, though.
Incredibly
It warned
fast.
me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
A lot of them do.
rattlesnakes, we used to have, I grew up out Deer Park, and we used to have rattlesnakes all the time. All the time, rattlesnakes all the time. You see them almost every day walking home with the bus, but they'd make noise. You knew where they were at, and they would leave you alone.
Yeah.
Like, if it was over there, you're just like, well, let's just walk over here. But I had copperheads chase me many times. I've not seen one in years.
Really?
In years. I did. From the wood pile, 'cause we had a lot of
Did they
wood piles.
chase you, or are they just trying to get away and you were in their way?
I can't. I mean, it's so long ago now. Either could be true, but my memory is like the biggest thing is removing a piece of wood and one like leaping at me, and it was for sure. It was
striking at you.
It
for
was
sure.
a copperhead, and
Yeah.
it was not a water snake for sure. But my granddad used to keep. He had a property out Esteto. He used to keep all the rattlesnake tails in a jar because he obviously he's
really?
old school. He
Yeah.
killed them. He
Yeah.
just killed them. They used to be all over Charlie Woody Mountain. They used to call it Rattlesnake Ridge back
Oh
in the
yeah,
day.
yeah. It's full of.
But when they
timbers.
started blasting the chalk, it kind of
yeah,
pushed them away. Further coming back, though.
they are.
If you want to go
They are.
get some snacks, go down there at Penland at the Penland Falls right there.
Yeah,
Oh, every time you're down there, I can point out like 3 or 4 of them.
that's the water snakes you keep sending me pictures of.
Yeah,
Is that where?
yeah.
They're everywhere down there, man.
But there's copperheads too. I've
Are
seen
there?
the copperheads down there. Yeah, there's a couple of
Yeah.
big ones. But that one big water snake, it hides in that. It's interesting to watch because it's
Yeah.
like that big rock in the water that kind of flows off, and there's moss and stuff. Well, there's this one pool that's got a rock in the middle of it, and it wraps itself up around under that rock, and then it sticks its heads up the little waterfall. And
Yeah.
then when the little fish are
They eat 'em.
coming
Yeah.
down, they eat them. It's
Yeah.
just like automatic feeding machine for them. They're like, oh,
I'll tell
I
you-
love this.
And I'll encourage everyone to do this. There are several snake ID pages on Facebook, and this is a wonderful way to get over your fear of snakes because it teaches you how to identify. Because I get asked all the time, how do you tell the difference between like a copperhead and a water snake?
Right.
Or because to a lot of people they look identical.
Yeah.
Join these snake ID pages and learn the different characteristics on how to positively ID these snakes. Just doing that alone takes so much fear out of the equation.
Dude, I
So
can't see
much
the
fear.
difference in an oak tree and a poplar tree.
I'm telling you,
And
you-
I
you
can't. I
would.
mean, I look at a water snake and a copperhead. A snake is it brown
would.
and is it scary? It's I hate it.
I'm telling you, man.
And
it-
I might
it
remove the
would.
fear. I will never move
Yeah.
the hatred. Like I have hate in my heart towards snakes. It goes back to when I was roofing houses as a kid. Back to all of us are scarred from childhood.
Childhood trauma.
Yeah, and I'm just stupid. So we were roofing this house again out Esteto, the home of everything scary. But my parents live there now. So
I hear
it
they've
is what it is.
imported some inland tie pins for in there
Yeah,
now.
right.
They're going to introduce that to
Dude,
repopulate.
I crawled up in this attic 'cause I was small. We were roofing, and I was looking for. We just put down decking, and I was looking to see if there's any light. Make sure everything was cool. And like I saw the insulation, and I kid you not, move. Mm-hmm. And not like in one area, all of it. And you know this from your recent video. If houses sit for a while, and things are left in the home, paper, food that attracts mice. Next thing you know, you have a giant nest.
Yeah.
And in this house, like I lifted up the insulation, and dude, it was like Indiana Jones and
Just a
the Well
pile
of
of
Souls.
snakes, yeah.
Like, and in my head, because Indiana Jones was like my favorite movie as a kid, all I saw was the Well of Souls. It may have been 3 snakes. There was 1,000. I'm
Right.
just telling you, because I was there. I lived it. It doesn't matter. And my dad, who's got such a great sense of humor, I was like, came down the ladder and I was like, there's snakes up there. He's like, how many? Go back up and look. And I went up the ladder and he grabbed my leg.
Oh, God.
Oh, come on.
Since that moment,
That
snakes,
done it.
snakes are terrible.
That done
I
it.
hate them. I hate them all.
I feel that way about spiders.
Dude, I'm with you.
I don't mind
I'm there,
spiders. To
too.
me, they're boring. I like snakes because they do stuff. Spiders are just kind of like,
Right.
If you've ever worked for David
they're
Whitson
terrible pets. It's just like,
or Burleson Plumbing and been underneath the house in a crawl space,
Yeah.
You'll learn
and you're
to hate
like,
'em.
and some of these mountain crawl spaces are definitely not code.
oh, sure.
You're in there, and like if you breathe, if you take too deep a breath, you're stuck for a second. If you're in one of those positions and those big wood spiders drop on your face,
Oh, yeah.
you hate spiders forever. I
Oh,
mean,
they're awful.
I remodeled the floor of a house one time unintentionally because a spider was in my face. I came through the floor.
Yeah. I've been
Think it's
spider
my
bit
house.
several times, too. I've been,
I can't stand 'em.
I got tagged by a black widow once, the orb
Yeah.
weavers a few times. The black widow wasn't fun. It made me pretty sick. I felt pretty terrible.
Those
Really?
orb weavers
Yeah.
are a little nasty.
Dude, the orb weaver hurt worse than the black
They're
widow.
painful.
They hurt. It's
They
like
do.
a bee sting. Actually, the orb weavers are pretty close to the way little blue dude, the blue Insularis bite feels
Really?
in terms of the pain. Yeah,
The orb weavers are the ones you see in the fall all the time.
Yeah, the
right?
big booty
bodied
ones,
Yeah,
yeah.
Dude, our
They
house
got a
looks like
ass on 'em.
Scooby Doo house this time of year every
Mine does
year.
too.
Spiders, like every light fixture. You walk outside,
Yeah.
like, don't
I know.
kill me. You know,
but a funny thing about spiders, generally, again, I use this word generally, they won't bite unless you apply downward pressure on them. If you're just holding it, it doesn't know to bite you. It doesn't know you're
Right.
a living organism. But if you touch it from above, it instantly becomes threatened and will envenom
Tell you
it.
this story, man.
Unless
So
you smell like a mealworm.
Right.
Laura said she got bit by an orb weaver in the face, or or one dropped on her face. We need some clarity, Laura. on
Yeah,
that.
caught
an orb weaver straight to the face as a kid.
Yeah. All right. I want to know everything, but it takes an eternity to do so, says Holly. And Jerry, I'm a primatologist, mostly deal with American politics.
Dude, Jerry, those saddlebacks straight up are the worst thing ever. It's like getting shingles like immediately. When those things hit you, it is awful. They're horrible. I'm like super.
Oh, those
I'm with him.
caterpillars?
Yes.
Yeah,
they're
dude, they
nothing
are-
but giant stingers.
They are
And dude, it's
gnarly.
this big, and you get a welt like
Yeah,
that.
they're
It's like getting
gnarly.
shingles immediately.
I've never been hit by one, but I've seen what they do. They're
I've
gnarly.
never. I had one of my guys get one of those one time. I also had a guy get a bee in his ear one time. Believe it or not.
Oh, no.
I had to go to the emergency room and get the bee out
Oh,
of his ear.
no. How
We
many
tried-
times did it sting him?
Oh, I don't think hardly at all. I don't think
Really?
it. I don't think it stung him at all. It was
Just there.
It was just there, and it would not come out. And they had to take him to the emergency. It was driving him crazy though. He was like,
Ooh,
yeah, it's awful, and I can't imagine that. But we were working on a house at Mountain Air one time, and it was what had happened. They had a big roof leak, and the whole side of the house was rotten because, of course, it was a vacation home. Nobody was there. So that particular section of the house, we had to take off like all the gable shingles on that because it had ran down, it rotted off the roof decking and everything. So we, right at the very beginning, first thing we did was take the shingles off and start trying to get it in the dry, and then we remodeled everything else. We threw all the shingles in the driveway. Well, like they sat there for probably 3 or 4 months while we fixed all this, and got it all back and running. And the last thing we had to do was go.
You know what loves shingles? Piles of shingles.
Yeah. We I go back up there. We'd already gone. I was like, I'll just go up there, throw these shingles in the back of the truck, take them to the dump, no problem. So I'll go up there and I'm throwing them in the back or whatever. I look down, I pull up one, and I throw it, and I look back down, and there's a nest of black widows. Mm-hmm. It's like, and they're all the little babies were like, and like
Gone.
up my boot.
Oh, my God.
Dude, I took off running. I threw my boots off. I stripped my pants off down the middle of the people were playing golf. And here I go, taking
Naked
my clothes
chase.
off. Yeah, I took all.
Give me that club.
And I finally got. I shook. I had an extra pair of pants. I put extra pants on. I threw my other pair. I put them in a bag, tied them up real tight, and
I'd have burned the house down.
Put 'em up.
I'd burned the whole house. Everything's torched.
I about
Go
burned
on.
the truck down because I got down.
like-
I finally got the courage to get back in the truck, and I knew there was some of them in the truck at least. You know what I mean?
Of course there were.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go.
They're probably still in there when you get in there tomorrow. just
Probably.
saying.
But I'm driving down. You come off Mountain Air, you go down Phipps Creek or whatever there, and you get there to that light where you turn right to go get on the road on the highway. And I stopped there, and I squirted my windshield wiper fluid. Then I see one
Oh my
of the
god!
outside of the window of the truck.
Right.
I'm like, ah!
A little baby one?
yeah. I'm like,
Right.
oh no.
Well, the good news is the baby ones are so tiny,
Yeah.
they don't produce enough venom to really be harmful to humans. If they can even bite you.
Yeah.
If
Black
they can
widows
even
are
bite you.
so small. Anyway, they're small spiders.
They're not-
anyway,
yeah, they're not
They're
large.
just
I will
little.
say this about them: they're like one of the coolest looking
beautiful.
things ever. They really
Oh,
are.
yeah.
Like you look at them like a little black lava orb that's perfectly smooth, and you're
Yeah.
like, that's so cool. You know where Limestone Cove is in Tennessee, going over Iron Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know that little rest area there at Limestone Cove?
Yeah.
It is infested with black widows. Always.
Yeah.
Really?
Always. If you look around, like the vents and everything going around it,
They're heavy in
they're
Tennessee.
all over. They are.
They're heavy.
And Chestoa over in Irwin, same thing, everywhere. So I stop at that, because I go to Johnson City a lot. I'll stop at that little rest area. And my worst fear came to life. I was sitting there in the restroom, and I see black widows crawling out of the toilet, like just crawling out. And I was just
Oh,
like,
God.
dude, what if somebody just sat here? And I'm like,
Your balls get bit by a
dude,
black
that'd be the
widow.
worst
Oh
like
my
thing ever. Like I
God.
thought, like this is like a horror movie in real life, and I saw it. I was like, I've never stopped there again since. Like I'll go down the creek and do what I got to do. I ain't going in the wooden
allow
box.
me to instill a new fear in
Here we
y'all.
go. Here we go.
And y'all know I worked at Johnson City Medical Center
Yeah.
in the ER and the ICU.
Oh, no.
We treated a fair amount of scorpion stings there too. There are scorpions in eastern Tennessee.
Isn't that crazy? I've heard that.
Are
I
you
have heard
serious?
that.
I'm dead serious. They're not incredibly toxic.
Right.
They're not like deadly or nothing. But
Right.
yes, there are scorpions in Tennessee.
Really?
You know what one of
sure
my
are.
worst fears is seeing a spider when I'm in an airplane in the air.
Really?
Seeing a black widow or worse, a brown recluse.
The recluse is
These
actually
motherfucking spiders on this motherfucking
right.
plane.
Yeah,
The
snakes on a
recluses-
plane. That got me thinking. What if there are spiders?
There
here?
probably are. There probably are. The thing is that the recluses are nowhere near as bad as a widow. Widow bites are usually much more medically significant than a recluse bite.
Dude, I got a buddy of mine who has a freaking necrotizing fasciitis hole that
Right.
big in his leg from a black widow bite. But to be fair, he thought he had like a, like a bump or a boil or something.
And let it go.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that you
No.
got them. Then then the minute they split up and they get MRSA,
Yeah.
and then
That's
you're
exactly
off
how
to
we got
the
staff
races.
in there. Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: like 90%. I'm pretty sure this is an accurate number too. I don't know the exact number, but it's between like 90 and 95% of recluse bites are actually misdiagnosed staph
Yeah,
infections.
MRSA. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's MRSA. Yeah,
But they are particularly prone to get MRSA and stuff.
no,
aren't
they're
they?
not.
No, really?
No, in fact, they're medically significant, but 80 to 90% of your recluse bites they're gonna be completely asymptomatic.
Right.
They're not gonna. You might get a small whiff.
But a widow is prone
widow,
to get them.
widow is prone to. Widows aren't really. They don't produce the cytotoxins that destroy tissue. They're a
Right.
neurotoxic spider, so you're gonna have flu-like symptoms, and you're gonna have some pain, a lot of pain, because it attacks your nervous system, and you'll have some nerve pain from that.
Right.
But generally, no, widow bites don't have the toxins to break down tissue.
What's another? What else can get you around here besides spiders, snakes? What else?
Well,
Anything?
there's a lot of
A lot of people.
I was going to say, are we going to enter humans into this equation? So,
There's a lot of people. Okay, so we'll go back to the chat. Laura says she opened. Okay, clarification from Laura. She opened the side door on her garage and wanted to build a web perfectly face level and just walked right into it.
I hate that, dude.
That's how I got bit by the orb weaver. I was
Yeah.
actually I went between a light pole and the wire that goes to the ground.
Oh,
the
they're
grounding wire.
notorious for building those.
I drove through it on the riding mower and just like, I was like, oh god! So I'm dry riding around on the mower and the spider had crawled on me and bit me on the leg.
Right.
so just for the record, before you read Jerry's thing, I never had spiders in my dreads when I had dreads back in the day.
Had a guy in prison when I worked there had dreadlocks, and the nest of brown wood spiders had set up on one of his dreadlocks, and the juveniles got
I hate everything about that. I just
both
hate
enough
it.
to start biting. I guess it's supposed to be big enough to start biting.
Yeah.
And they had to, big enough to both of them. Yeah, and they had to. Holy cow! I want no spiders in my hair.
No, I got some bees stuck in my hair one time. It's like you're weed eating and you hit yellow jackets, and then they get stuck in your hair, and they just keep stinging you, and then you're smacking yourself in the head. You look like what was that guy, the crazy person on The Simpsons, the
Oh,
with the wild hair. Anyway, I looked like that guy.
Sideshow
Bob. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sideshow Bob.
The hair.
I just hate any bug in general. I hate all of them, except for butterflies. They're cool.
I'm way
Butterflies are
more
cool.
afraid of bees than I am snakes or spiders.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm
afraid.
allergic to bees. And
well, legit.
bees can swarm and like they come
Yeah.
in an army. Like a snake's not going to come in an army and
Yeah.
there's a lot of I know you said you were chased by snakes in the snake community. If anybody says they got chased, like they immediately get shit all over because
Sure.
But bees will.
Oh,
and
bees,
it's not one.
hornets, especially.
All of them will come after you, and it's like, let's kill him.
Yeah, that's
Jackie
the
had a
truth.
bunch of hives, and Jackie can go into hives freehand, open them up barehanded.
terrifying to me.
She can do all that stuff. I look at a beehive; they're coming for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you.
I got into
Yeah.
some. I was weed eating at a commercial building that we used to clean. They wanted me to do the yard. Just had this small little yard, but of course it had those railroad ties,
Yeah.
flower beds, you know,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
were wrapped around. And one of them was pretty rotten, so I'm weed eating along. I hit that railroad tie and a hornet's nest in there. It ate me up, son. Absolutely ate me alive. And the guy, I'm again running, and they'll get stuck in your pants. you know?
Yeah, they
I
will.
mean, hornets suck, man. Hornets the worst bees by far. in
Those
my
bald
opinion.
face hornets.
Yeah,
ooh,
man.
I hate those things.
I put on a pair of jeans. I was a teenager. I put on a pair of jeans that Dad had hanging out on the clothesline one time. There was
Yeah.
a wasp in them,
Yeah.
and I'm literally in the kitchen like dancing, trying to get these jeans off of me. He's like, "What's wrong with you, son?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Something's got me though." It's
I tell
something
you
like
what's-
4 times.
I'll tell you what's scary though. I was
You
thinking
remember
about
that,
this.
Dad?
Yeah. I'll tell you, if you ever gone outside like in the fall, you know, right around the time all the orb weavers come out,
Yeah.
and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Come out and get the morning dew in the morning,
Yeah.
and you see in between all the power lines, and like you're talking about
Yeah.
in between those guide,
yeah.
guide
Yeah,
wires,
guide
and
wires,
all
yeah.
that. So, yeah,
Just full of orb weavers.
yeah, full of them, man.
Oh, dude, that wall out here next to my driveway, that's where they are.
Yeah.
Everywhere. That wall is just, I mean, there's hundreds of them. Right now on it, there's hundreds of them.
Oh yeah, it's that season, man. It's coming up
It
quickly.
is
Orb City.
Spooky season.
Quickly.
Spooky season. He had been bit so many times. Jerry in the chat talking about this dude that had dreads, spider dreads. He had been bit so many times that the wounds set up MRSA, which is why he spent so much time in the hospital.
I'm just hearing a script in my head. Like I'm just like, this is the start of a Stephen King movie, like book or novel, whatever.
Spider dread.
Yeah, exactly.
That arachnophobia movie did me in, son.
John Goodman.
that
That was a
one.
good one. Giant 8-foot snake
That
spider in the
movie
basement.
and Fire in the Sky made me terrified of aliens and spiders. Fire in the Sky is the freakiest movie. I don't care what nobody says. You watch that movie and
Travis
you're
Walker story.
Yeah,
Alien
Yep.
did it for me as a child. Like watching that alien bust out of their stomachs
yeah.
terrified
That's bad.
me.
See, that
You
was
know,
fantasy though.
That terrified
Supposedly
me as a
Travis
child.
Walton. I think it was Walton.
Walton, sorry,
that's
Walton
right.
and
Yeah,
Walker.
Travis
Travis
Walton.
Walton.
That actually happened, or
It did.
according to him, it happened.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
but
My
yeah, but
great
I was
uncle,
also little when I saw that.
my great uncle Charlie, Tufom, the UFO man, claims he was abducted by the dog people in his '53 Ford and flown around all of Indiana where Travis Walton was, and it was this. It was like 20 years prior, the same area and
Really?
everything. Because my family's from up in Indiana, but he had all these drawings. He had like this book of all these drawings of like these people, and you know all this stuff was crazy. Then Travis Walton came out and he's like, a lot of things he described was almost identical. Now Charlie was. He's out there. But the drawings were still incredible. My dad still has this book and collection of my Tufom. They called my great uncle Charlie the UFO man, Tufom. But he had all those drawings about that. But it's interesting. Family from Indiana. One of my relatives claims they knew Travis or whatever. But I'm with you. That movie, what was so compelling is the way it was shot. It was like similar to how documentaries look today in
I
a
know.
movie style.
It was
It was
kinda,
almost
yeah.
a little too well acted
yeah,
too.
I know.
Right.
That movie
Because it was
freaked me
creepy,
out.
but it was creepy because it wasn't like jump scare. It was just like brooding the whole
Right.
movie through.
And then he wakes up in that telephone booth with
Yeah.
all the stuff in his eye, and then they show him like the things going into his eyes.
Yeah.
And those freaky, like gray. Well, they're not even gray in that movie. They're like this weird tan, like hairless thing. You're like,
Dude,
So like the Philadelphia Zombies.
Mars Attacks terrified my little brother Andrew.
Really?
I
He
can
was
see that.
scared.
It was actually
real
scary.
little.
For little kids, it's
Yeah.
too much.
He was little. He was little when that.
It was
movie came out.
graphic.
It was. So he was in the bathroom one day sitting on the toilet and the window was open and my brother Ben got in that window like right below it and was like made that noise that the aliens made and Andrew just like ran out of the bathroom like like terrified.
That's hilarious.
That ruined
That's
him.
hilarious.
Hello, Melissa. What's up? I didn't know that was you either, Melissa. Like you've been talking to us this whole time and I had no idea who Space Telegrams was. Arachnophobia terrified me. That movie didn't bother me so bad.
That one did. They go down in that basement and have to confront like the brood mother.
What about The Exorcist? Exorcist scaring you guys when you were young? The Exorcist movie? Yeah, it scared me.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
It scared me when I was really young. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It scared me when I was 24.
the only movie
Still a
like
little
that,
afraid.
and it didn't scare me. It just gave me like nightmares for a while. Was The Exorcist? I went and watched The Exorcism of Emily Rose in theaters, and for some reason that movie gave me this weird reoccurring nightmare of this demon possessed chick, Satan possessed chick chasing me.
Jacob's Ladder scared me more than any movie ever. I don't know
Really?
if you've ever seen
I've
that.
heard a couple
never
people
seen
say
it.
that, but
It's-
I've never seen that movie.
It's too relatable because head injuries and stuff, you see certain things weird like that in real life. You get some.
That's true,
Things
Rebecca. I
perception.
did make her watch The Exorcist for the first time. That's my apartment in Value Brand, I think.
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder's it's terrifying. And oddly enough, there are moments in Patrick Swayze's Ghost that are actually really scary.
Really?
Just odd. It's odd.
It is. I can see.
But
where
there's
you're
some
coming
creepy.
from.
There's this one part where these ghosts come to take this guy at the end, and granted the CG is better improved now, but at the time it was a bit much.
Yeah.
It was a bit much.
I don't know, man. All those anything with aliens or like end of the world, like stuff. I remember I watched this one thing about Nostradamus and like the end of the world, and then I was convinced the end of the world was coming at any moment.
Yeah.
Then I had a weird irrational fear of tornadoes. Even
Oh,
though
we're back
we
to
never
politics
did.
again.
Twister.
The end of the world at any moment. Keeps coming back.
That's
to the
going to
debate.
happen if the military-industrial complex has their ways.
No joke. Well, we'll wrap her up here.
Yeah, let's
Short
do
and
it.
sweet, huh?
Short and sweet. It was a good one, though.
I like
I've
it.
enjoyed it. I like these where we just sit and talk.
Yeah. me
Plug
too.
your event tomorrow.
Yeah,
one more
yeah,
time.
yeah.
'Cause people
Everybody.
came in late.
Yeah. Tomorrow, Burnsville Town Center, 7 to 9:30. 3 bands are playing. Replica, A Time Devised,
Yep.
and Relentless Flood. I'm playing with The Time Devised. We're playing last, so we're playing from like 8:30. But show up and watch the whole band. I mean, it's 2.5 hours. So, and it's free.
I was gonna say, is
All
the cover
ages,
charge free?
no
That's
cover
awesome.
charge. It's free. All ages show. It's just come out, hang out, and listen to some cool music. If
You
like
coming,
rock
Noah?
and roll. Yeah, Noah's
You going to ride with Dakota?
He's actually going to be there with me
Oh,
working.
gotcha.
He's going to be working the event.
Let's say he's
Oh,
a
you're
roadie.
working?
He's a roadie.
Roadie, yeah.
I don't know if you saw whenever I answered, I switched back to my camera from the three.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm helping out. I'm on the mail and alpha board, so I can leave early.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, Noah's doing really well so far this year. He's doing really well. I'm very proud of him. He's doing great.
Let's go, Noah.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Let's
everybody,
go.
show up to that. Come and show your support to Noah and cheer him on for carrying my gear.
Yeah.
What gear? You ain't got no gear.
One guitar and no.
Don't talk
Are
to
you
me
playing with
about
an amp?
gear.
No,
Josh.
tomorrow we're doing PA all of it. So I'm gonna get
Oh,
there early.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got you.
yeah,
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah, we're.
So you're providing the system.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to help set
Oh,
everything
gotcha,
up.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and Noah's going to be another back to carry.
Who's running
stuff.
sound? Do you know?
Relentless Flood's bringing their rig.
Okay.
And we're bringing our in-ear rig. We're going to use that. And just
Marshall
switch
was
them out in
playing with
between.
Disciple, you said, wasn't he?
He toured with them. Yeah, for a
Yeah.
little while. He was filling in on drums. Not. Disciple. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. But yeah.
Just know Jesus is the way. I just know Jesus. I love that song, man. That's an
Dude, they're
all-time
killer.
banger.
They're
That is
killer.
an all-time banger.
They're a good band.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see Nothing More Tuesday in Asheville at the Orange Peel. So
Yeah?
I'm excited about that. I'm
Yeah,
a big
that should
Nothing
be
More
fun.
fan. These freaking guys are awesome.
I listened to that. I saw, oddly enough, the Facebook ad for that got me, and I went and listened to them. They're not bad.
Oh no, they're incredible.
very
San
good.
Antonio band. They've got. Anyway, I can go on and on. I love fast, aggressive metal music.
There you go. Get out there and
Anything not
support your
bluegrass.
local musicians and your
Go
local
see Josh.
venues
Yeah,
and
come check us
see
out. 'cause
Josh.
This is not a this is a one-off thing. This is a one-time reunion for a time devised, and come check us out. And remember to go support Big Al's Pack and Ship.
Big Al.
Go, big girl.
Big Al's Pack and Ship.
Hey, and Christmas time's coming. Like he's got a
Yeah.
ton of customized, engraved. We got an awesome charcuterie board, and I got some of my friends some engraved decanters for the holidays and stuff. So he's got some really super awesome stuff that he gets customized. So let you know, get in early because he gets busy.
Yeah.
And he's got all kinds of stuff he can engrave, wall plaques. Just go by and see him. Also, he's got Christmas cards and holiday cards. So
His hours have changed too. He's open till 6 o'clock now.
yep,
Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock.
Nice.
and he's super cool.
Yeah.
Gotta love Big Al. Yeah, looking forward to next week too. We got a couple of good guests next week. We're
Yeah.
gonna get back into the swing of the political season. Try to get some controversial figures in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll reach out
Get
to
those rage
to
clicks.
Mr. Hogue and see what I can
Yes.
do. There. I'll holler at him tomorrow.
Bill, Hogue, we're coming for you. I've heard enough. Everybody's said talk to you, and now we're coming to get you
Yep.
and get you on and talk to you. See what's up.
Grill
Bill's
you
a
for
great
an hour.
guy.
Yeah.
Bill's a super good guy.
So please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow us on Facebook, The World Unwrapped, and go support us on Patreon. It's $5 a month, and it makes this possible. We really appreciate your support. That's patreon.com/The World Unwrapped. All of your financial support goes to make this possible because this does cost money.
Yeah. And thanks to everybody who has supported
Yes,
us too
thank you.
already, and
We
all the
do this
people
for
that
you.
come up to us and
We love it.
ask about the show
love
and all
it.
that. It's super great. I hear it every week, and
Yeah, I
I
do
forget to
too.
say it every week, but that means a lot, guys.
Stopped at
honestly.
P&R the other day to get breakfast. A guy I did not know walked up to me. He was like, "Dude, I love your show." I was like, "That's awesome,
I
man.
know.
Like, it's great.
really cool.
I love
It's
it.
really a good feeling to know
They
that
can never
somebody's
change
watching.
the name of P&R to anything else ever, can they?
No,
No,
it's like
it will be P&R.
It's the new Joe House
forever.
store.
It is. It is.
Buddy, P&R is doing it a killer business now. That new school opening up is the best thing ever.
gosh,
well, let's
yeah.
hit them up for some ads. See if they want to advertise.
Jeff Googe, we're coming for you.
Tell us all the plans for the 2-story P&R.
Yes,
As an
exactly.
addition on top.
Yeah.
I think he needs to turn that into a full-on like
P&R
Buc-ee's.
General.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
PG, not the DG, the PG.
All right, guys.
Till next time. We love you.
Peace.